Welcome. I'm Mary Murphy, and I am the Superintendent of the Marlborough Public Schools. This is our monthly show, the Superintendent's Corner, and we're hoping to update the community on school-related news through these shows. This month, I am focusing on introducing the community to new members of the district leadership team. I'm starting with myself as superintendent. This is a new role for myself, and Dr. Skaza, who is the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. And we wanted to introduce ourselves to the community through a series of some questions and answers that we will be discussing with one another. Dr. Skaza?
Well, I'm happy to be here, Superintendent Murphy, and I guess I'll get started with the first question, if that's okay.
Okay.
So could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been with the Marlborough Public Schools?
The last week when we welcomed all the faculty back, I shared a story. It was about 20 years ago, a little bit over 20 years ago, when I entered the Kane School to interview for the assistant principal of the Kane School. And I walked in, and John Collins and Paula Thornton and Eileen Barry interviewed me. And I said that was one of the luckiest days of my life when I joined Marlborough School System about 20 years ago. Since that time, I was the assistant principal at Kane School. I was the principal at Jarek School, principal of middle school, Whitcomb School. When we transitioned from a 4 through 7 school to 5 through 8 school, created the new school. And then I transitioned over to central office, where I had the longest title in the history of Marlborough Public Schools. I was the executive director of elementary, pre-K through 8 elementary education. And I did that for a number of years before I transitioned to assistant superintendent. And then recently, July 1st, as superintendent. So I'm thrilled to be here. And how about you, Dr. Skaza? Because I think you've been in the district a little longer than I have.
Well, it's right around 20 years as well. October 2001 was my hire date, and it came from a recommendation from a close friend, two of my closest friends, TJ Rake and Greg Marganoni. I went to Westfield State College, and Greg had said there's a job opening at the school he was at, Richer School at the time, in the Applied Behavior Analysis program at Richer, and he said you should come apply. And I went for an interview, and by the end of the day I was hired, and I've never looked back. That was an amazing experience. I learned so much, and I worked with wonderful people, with wonderful students. The first student who I worked with, I considered to be family, and it was just great. And from there, I became a teacher in that program. I worked as an English teacher at the high school when 8th grade was at the high school years back for a number of years before becoming the assistant principal at Richer School, and then eventually the principal at Richer School, leading up to my position now as assistant superintendent of teaching and learning, working alongside you. Couldn't be more thrilled about this opportunity. I'm learning so much so quickly, and it's just been a lot of fun and very exciting.
Do I remember correctly, you transitioned to the assistant principal at Richer School right at the same time we reorged, and the 8th grade was coming down to Whitcomb School, so we never got a chance to work together then.
Not as as Whitcomb principal. Yeah. I was all set to go to my classroom at Whitcomb and start to set up, and that's when I had received the assignment to go to Richer. I should mention that I coached football for a number of years here too, the 8th grade and at the freshman level too, under Coach Mahoney. And I've just really enjoyed everything that I've done in the Marlborough Public Schools, and I'm thrilled to continue my career here. All right, let's move on here to our next question. So there's been some transitions for both of us, right?
Yeah.
What has your transition been like into this new role?
So I think that one of the things that has been important to me is to, the advice I've been receiving is to slow down, to speed up. So to transition and to spend this time hearing from different stakeholders and hearing everything that being a superintendent gives me a different perspective on. I know that there is almost, there would be a concern that if I thought I knew everything, which I absolutely positively know that I don't, I never have and I never will. So the transition to me is trying to hear from as many people as possible, all the things that I didn't know and all the things that I do need to know. One of the most important things to me, I think, is that people in the community and the schools and all the families know is that we have a really strong team that are all dedicated to working together for the needs of the students. And it's not one person. So the transition is easier knowing that I have such a strong team that is here. And anything that I'm not good at, and the list is long, that there are other members of the team that have those strengths that I do not, and together we will all work together. And what about you?
Well, I have to tell you, I think you're being a little modest because my transition has involved asking you about a million questions, all of which you have the answer to. So you certainly are a wealth of knowledge, and it's just been fun and exciting and a whirlwind getting caught up on everything in central office and with applying for grants and learning about the responsibilities of the assistant superintendent when it comes to new teachers and just a number of different things with the mentoring program. So I'm just trying to get caught up to speed as quickly as possible, not ask too many questions to the point where I am an annoyance, but certainly make sure I'm asking questions that are important so I'm not making mistakes along the way. So I'm just trying to keep pace here. It's been, like I said, a lot of fun along the way, and hopefully I can just, with continued time, get a little bit more confidence and from experience and be able to slow down that pace just a little bit. I feel like we've really been moving quickly to start this school year. The days go by quickly, I'll tell you that much, but it's a fast pace.
I think that it's important for us to recognize, I remember when I was a building principal for all those years, and establishing some really strong relationships with students that even today brings great joy to see them as grown adults and productive and members of the community. And then transitioning to central office, and then for years getting to know every single new teacher in the role from teaching and learning and being able to support them. And that brings great joy too. So I'm looking forward to the joy that being superintendent and being able to work with many different community members, as we all, our main goal is to support the students, regardless of our roles.
And it certainly is fun being housed in the Whitcomb School because we can get out and about and support Principal House and see students that we know have had in the past that are starting to grow up. So I hear you loud and clear.
Hall duty is fun.
Yeah. All right. A lot of work to do this school year, and I'm wondering what you are looking to accomplish. What are some big things that you're looking to accomplish this school year?
So over the last few years, we have been responding to crisis many, many times. Changing protocols, focus on remote or in person and all of that. I'm looking forward to having us all focus on teaching and learning. We did, and we all are confident that there is no other school district or no other in this state or in this country that had such high quality education during all the in-person interruptions that we experienced. But we do know that we have some gaps that we have to deal with. So I'm looking forward to us all being focused on addressing those gaps, and also looking at our strategies for improvement, which we're trying to connect to the families and to the staff and making sure that we all have the same goals moving forward. How about you?
Well, I want to support you in those efforts. Certainly looking to help with the stability piece here and just sending clear messages. There's a lot of work that we've started that we are continuing from when Superintendent Bergeron resigned, and a lot of good work that was already underway, and we're just taking that and moving it forward, but putting our own spin on it, and me supporting you in doing so. You know, I really want to help empower teachers to do what they need to do, to be a support to students along the way as well, to promote healthy relationships in our schools, and to encourage students to get involved in extracurricular activities. I consider that to be really important when it comes to building character. So I just want to be out and about. I want to be present in schools and classrooms, and I want to make sure that I'm also doing the work that needs to be done behind the scenes and doing it right.
Thank you.
All right. So this one I know might catch you off guard a little bit, but I was wondering what one thing might be about you that the community might not know. Maybe something personal.
So I think that that's a tough question for me because so many people know, but my hidden skill and passion is I am a theme park junkie, especially Orlando theme parks. So I have embraced the fact that I can talk about Disney dining for 2 hours straight. So if anyone in the community wants to join me in that discussion, would love to chat. I also, though, can have a great conversation about Hagrid's at Universal, our Halloween Horror Night. So that is my hidden flaw or passion, which no matter which way you look at it.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, I have a 6-year-old daughter who we plan to bring to Disney World one day, so I will certainly be coming to you for an itinerary. Yeah.
And what about you? What personal thing?
Well, I'm an open book, but I don't know. Maybe people don't know that I have a lot of summertime passions when it comes to being out on the water. I love to take my wife and daughter fishing. We did that a lot this summer. We fish for lobster. We fish for salt. We do saltwater fishing up north, and that's something that just keeps me happy and grounded in the summertime. And when we're working hard in the winter months, something to look forward to on the horizon. Mm-hmm. All right, and I was there for opening day, and I know that I was anxious myself and anxious for you, and I was in the audience when you gave your opening remarks, so I'm wondering what it was like for you to address the entire faculty of the Marlborough Public Schools on opening day.
So it was quite emotional for me, and I think that one of the reasons is, and I think I said it out loud, was that throughout the last few years, there was myself, I questioned a number of events that I was afraid would never happen again. And I think many of us have gone through that, right? Mm-hmm. So Thanksgiving, Christmas, it's such a series of losses. And we said last year we had school and everything was back to normal, but it wasn't. We were still experiencing some losses and we still hadn't processed that. Family vacations, just those celebrations. To me, opening day, having everyone in that auditorium, being able to celebrate the service awards is one of those events. So being able to actually experience that one more time was very heartening to me, and it brought a lot of emotion, a lot of joy that I couldn't contain. Completely lost track of myself at a couple of places. I will freely own that. But it was because opening day and us all being able to be together and to have some of our traditions back and hope for more traditions was a wonderful thing for me.
Well, as a member of the audience, I was rooting for you, and I thought that it was really touching to see that emotion when you were presenting to the faculty, and I do truly feel like that's a testament to who you are and how dedicated you are to this school system. And I'm not just saying that because you're my boss. All right, 2 more questions, Superintendent Murphy. What do you want the community of Marlborough to know about your commitment to this school system?
I think that we've talked a lot about commitment, and I think that it's not only my commitment, it's all of our commitments. I think that as a leadership team, we talk about hungry, humble, and smart. we talk about knowing that everyone is important to us, that smart meaning that we need to treat each other with respect and care at all times, and hungry being that we will do anything that needs to be done to get the job done. And all jobs are our jobs. And the whole goal is, someone asked me a number of months ago, what do I know is a truth about Marlborough? And that truth is that we are all driven by what's best for our students, and we will do whatever it takes to make sure that they receive the best from us, and the best from the school district, and the best from what the world has to offer them. So that's what I think I'd like to say on that one.
Thank you.
What about you?
Well, I've always been a firm believer in leading by example. I was raised right, and I learned a lot of values through participation in football when I was a kid. Never missed a practice, never missed a game, and you know, I was fortunate to have some years of teaching where I never missed a day of school and was recognized for that at the time. So it's just our work ethic and integrity that I try to embody and promote to others. So I'm here to work hard, and I want to encourage others to do the same, because you know, working with children and teaching in this day and age is no easy job. So I'm committed to this school system. I have been in the school system for my entire career. I've never worked for another school district. Growing up, I learned that you do what you need to do, and you fulfill your obligations and your requirements on a daily basis, unless there's no other way around it. And you know, I tend to roll up my sleeves and come to work every day and do my best. So I'm certainly committed to this city and this school system. All right, the last question that I have for you is about our show here.
Okay.
And I am wondering what you think is most important about hosting this show. I told the faculty on opening day that I am committed to communicating about across multiple topics to multiple people. And I think that this show is one of the ways that I'm hoping to accomplish that goal. I said earlier that a lot of our focus has been on responding to COVID-related changes, and most of our communication has been focused on COVID-related changes. Want to change that focus of communication to what's going on in the Marlborough Public Schools, to celebrate some of the actions we're taking, and to make sure that we are effectively communicating ways in which we are striving to meet the needs of all of our students and how we define success. Because one of the things that we have been talking about is that we have so many different pathways for our students in the Marlborough Public Schools. Always having college being one of those options for our students, but making sure that everyone knows that there are pathways that are open to them, and they're open to them in this community, so that they're connected to Marlborough, and this is where they want to live, and this is where they want to work, so that is success. And I want to be able to communicate that across to everyone. What are you hoping for? Well, I really think it's good for you as superintendent to just put yourself out there and make sure that you are sending a message, or you know, the messages that need to be sent through whichever venue available. And we're very grateful to be here. And it's a little bit of a anxiety-provoking experience, but we're here and we're giving it our best shot. And I'm hoping we can have a little fun along the way, and maybe show a little of our personality to the city of Marlborough. And hopefully people will, you know, tune in to hear about what's going on in the school system, and we can use this as a mode to get information to the city. Yeah,
perfect. So I think we're going to take a short little break, and we're going to be joined with one at a time, a couple of our new principals.
Very exciting.
We're very excited about that, so thank you.
All right, thank you.
Welcome back. We are now joined by Rupal Patel, who is the principal of the Jaworek Elementary School. Welcome, Rupal.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in the Marlborough Public Schools?
So, this is my 17th year in Marlborough Public Schools. It's the only district that I've ever worked in. And so by the accent, you can tell that I'm not quite from Marlborough, but I do live in Marlborough. I grew up in London, and I moved here as an adult, and after a 5-year stint in Florida, have lived in Marlborough and only worked in Marlborough.
I mentioned the same thing when we were interviewing each other, that I've only worked in Marlborough too, and I didn't know that, so that's nice to hear. You want me to jump to my question?
Sure,
This one, I'm getting right to it here. So we want to learn a little bit about you, not just professionally, but personally too. So what do you like to do when you're not running the school?
I liked mindless activities, really. So basically, running a school or just being in education takes a lot out of you mentally. So anything that just helps me just relax and be calm. I love spending time with my family. I have 2 dogs that take a lot of time. And my son will tell you that I don't do it enough, but I do like pottery. So I have a wheel in my basement. I have to get back to it. Being principal has kind of like taken all my time. So I have to get back to the pottery. But yeah, I just like relaxing, really, and just spending time with family. I'm also a big traveler.
Nice.
Been around the world.
That's great. Well, I sure would appreciate one day a nice vase to go when you have a little extra time. I'm sure that'll be soon.
You mentioned that being a principal takes a lot of time. Have you always wanted to be a principal? And if not, when did that change?
No, I don't think I came into teaching thinking, oh my word, I want to be a principal one day. I want to run a school. I think it's just been a slow progression. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, 17 years. Every so often, there was a time for change and a time for growing. So I think it was just a progression into this position. I think Mary will tell you that, sometimes I could do that. And so I try and do it. And so that's basically where that came from. Honestly, I just, it's just been a really easy progression into this, or mostly easy progression.
So will you do a recap of when you first came to Marlborough Public Schools? You started as I
started as a paraprofessional in 1st grade at Jarek School. Yeah. My first day, I was waiting outside the principal's office to meet the principal. It was quite nerve-wracking because there was something going on at the same time, but I went in and I met my principal who hired me, Mary Murphy. And from that year, I became an EL teacher at Jarek. I taught the newcomers for 4 years, and then it was time to go, grow a little bit more, and became a 5th grade teacher at Wickham. Funnily enough, was hired by the same principal. So I taught ELA and social studies for 5 years, and then again, it's just like you've done everything you can do, and it's time to grow and give back in another way. So I went back to EL, which is, I guess I should say it out loud, it's who I am, and that's my professional focus is the English learners and the English learner world. Mm-hmm. And Marlborough has changed so much in the time that I've been here, and our English learner population has grown so much. I think it was a natural progression. There is no distinction now. Our students are our students, and so I think that's why this was good, but I worked as the EL coordinator at Whitcomb and then at Jarek and Kane, kind of done a lot of things in this district. So.
Something about a little remote academy too.
Oh yeah. I was a supervisor of remote learning for a year as well. Yes, hopefully those days are gone and we can all be in person and we can all enjoy each other in the same place, not over a screen.
So hearing the variety of experiences that you've had and the roles that you've served in, I'm wondering who may have been influential in your career to get you to the point that you're at now.
So let me start at the beginning, I guess, right? So at 16 years old, personally, I met my art teacher who kind of led me to believe that she gave me a kind of purpose in life. And I wanted to be an art teacher. That's all I ever wanted to do. So personally, I've had some great teachers who sometimes I'm speaking of when I was a teacher in the classroom, I would hear them come out and I'd be like, oh, I still actually talk to a lot of them. They're still in England, they're all over the world, but I still talk to them. Professionally in Marlborough, I will say that Superintendent Murphy has played an integral role in my career and my, career path and ascension to becoming a principal. So I do owe a lot to Superintendent. She has always been honest with me and always put me in my place when I needed to be put in my place. I think, I consider her a mentor and a role model. So I think saying this out loud, Marlborough is very, very lucky to have Mrs. Murphy as the superintendent of schools.
Agreed. I'm going to change the subject a little bit. You've worked with a lot of kids, and they say the darndest thing, right?
I do.
So can you just tell us a story maybe about one funny moment you've had or a funny thing that one of your students has said?
So every day is a funny story, right? There are so many to pick from, but I think most recently was last week when we had a student waiting for her bus in the office, and she had a piece of paper and she handed it to me, and it was just written that her name was in charge of the principal, and I was basically to do whatever she wanted to be done in the school. So it was just kind of like an amusing kind of like, oh, we just met and you're already the boss of me. All right, so I will say so many funny stories, but some of them probably not for air, but I think every single day working with kids, there's always something amusing or heartwarming that just makes it lighter and worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So.
I'm going to do two.
Okay.
All right, so how would your family, colleagues, and friends describe your work ethic?
I think they would say that I am honest and straightforward and hardworking. I think it's weird because my sisters are back in London and one of them just keeps telling me I was a born leader, even though I'm the youngest of the family, but I think, it's really no frills. We like to have fun and it's just to work hard. You really have to work hard, and I think my family would say that I am one to just finish what I start, right? So it's don't give up and keep going. But then my family also sees me like just sitting on the couch watching mindless television. So, but I think on the job, it's like, give it everything you have.
What might they say that you need to do more or less of each week?
Stop disappearing and take care of the dogs. But I think what they would say is probably just give time for myself. Like I said, my older son keeps telling me, you need to go back to the pottery studio. You need to have something other than work. But I think in that sense, it's just my job to be a teacher, a principal, a mother. It's just innate, I guess, just to take care of things and people.
Well, if you listen to your son, that chance of me getting the mug just increased.
Oh yeah, I think so, yeah. It might be heavy and clunky, but it's okay.
What's personally important to you for your school that you're looking forward to this school year?
We have such a diverse community. I think, just bringing the community back into our buildings and building relationships is huge within our classrooms, with teachers, with colleagues. I think that's really, really big to me. When you build a relationship, there's respect and a want to learn and a want to listen. And I just think relationships with our students, relationships with our families is huge. And that personally is my goal.
One more question for you, and it's just a general one. Is there anything that you want to tell the community about yourself that we didn't cover in this interview?
I think I just want to say, honestly, Marlborough is one of the best places to go to school. My kids went to Jarek School. My son graduated from Marlborough High School, and I'm so proud of what we do every day. It's a great group of teachers, a great group of administrators. It's just different, and I just want to thank the city superintendent, the schools, for every opportunity that my family has been given, I've been given. Kind of like, Panther pride. It kind of seeps in. It's weird. But I just am so grateful to be able to be the principal of Jarek School. It's home.
Principal Patel, we are very grateful that you joined us today and answered all our questions. And we are going to bring Principal Richards from the Richer School in next and ask her some similar questions. And, again, thank you for being with us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be back.
We'll be back. And welcome back. We are here with Richer School Principal Lisa Richards, who is joining us. So welcome, Lisa. So great that you're here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in the Marlborough Public Schools?
So I have been in Marlborough Public Schools since 2004. I started back as a paraeducator at that time. Since then, I have been a second grade teacher, fourth grade teacher, reading interventionist, ELA specialist, assistant principal, and now principal. Yeah, I live in Marlborough. My daughter and my husband are both Marlborough High graduates. So even though I'm not officially a townie, I kind of feel like I am. That's a bit about me.
All right, down to brass tacks here. We want the community to learn a little bit about you. I've had the fortunate opportunity to work alongside you for a number of years now, and I know what you're capable of professionally and what you bring to the table professionally. But what about personally? What do you like to do outside of school when you're not the principal of Richer School and running the school?
Outside of school, I love going to the theater and going to concerts. I've seen all kinds of concerts, some that people may be surprised that my husband's dragged me to, like Alice in Chains. But it is fun. It's a great experience. I like going to Red Sox games. And he's a big Chronicle fan, so we like to take day trips or weekend getaways to wherever Chronicle recommends.
Is that a plug? I think that's officially a plug.
Yeah, it's a plug.
So like I said, we've worked alongside each other for a handful of years, and I've seen you progress from position to position up the ranks into a leadership role, and now as principal of Richer School. And I'm wondering who personally or professionally was influential to you along the way.
So probably my husband. Mike is definitely my biggest supporter. And before going into education, I was in the business world. So at one point between jobs in the business world, I was able to substitute at Kane School for a few weeks, and then went back into business at a new job. And he recognized immediately that I was not as happy and as passionate about what I was doing as those 3 weeks that I was subbing as a para in Ginny Benedetto's kindergarten classroom. So he really encouraged me to make a career change, and without his support and his encouragement, I probably would still be in business right now. So.
When you transitioned to education, at that time, did you ever think that you would be a principal? And if not, when did that change? Please tell me it was before I walked in.
No. So the answer is no. I do believe I said to you I will never be an administrator at one time. That came out of my mouth. But I will say a previous administrator had encouraged me at one point to apply for the ELA specialist position when they were in Marlborough. And in accepting that role, I really got an opportunity to work with teachers and see the school from a different perspective. I was able to model some lessons, help with scheduling, run some PLC meetings, and that's where I started to get a taste of the school in a bigger picture, and I think I might be able to do it. And it still took me some time to get there, but but I'm happy I made the choice.
So are we.
Thank you.
Shifting gears a little bit here.
Okay.
Working with kids, I know, can be sometimes an experience that generates some humor, right? Because they will say the darndest things, right? So can you tell us a story about a funny moment you've had with a student, or a funny statement that a student has made to you?
Yeah, so with the last name of Richards,
Yeah.
working at Richer School and young little children, you can imagine that there's sometimes some confusion. So I remember speaking with a first grader in particular, and at one point he just looked at me and he said, "Why is Dr. Skaza the principal if it's your school?" So we had a good chuckle over that and did a quick little phonics lesson on R control vowels, but we moved on. So that was kind of funny.
Always the teacher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember maybe a pivotal moment in your career, maybe one that changed your path?
I would probably have to go back to when I was asked to be the ELA specialist, because that really, like I said, it opened my eyes to just a whole different perspective and how much was really involved with the school and running a school. And in that position, I was able to not only help teachers, but I was still able to help students and teachers. And I got to work on some scheduling and all those detail-oriented things behind the scenes that I really enjoyed, and I wasn't sure that I was going to enjoy them. So that was a big one.
I remember the moment that you first addressed the faculty at large. Actually, I think it was a family night, so it was the cafetorium with the families and the faculty present. And you were understandably nervous, but you did a great job, and I considered that to be a pivotal moment because everything just grew from there.
Yeah.
With your confidence.
I remember that.
You remember that?
Clearly.
I think you were hyperventilating a little bit.
Sometimes we learn through terror, right?
Yes.
Can I?
Yes.
Yeah. How would your family, colleagues, and friends describe your work ethic?
I think they would say committed and dedicated to the children and the staff. Yeah, I really try to make sure that I get feedback from not only the kids but also the teachers before decisions are made. I really try to be thoughtful in my responses. So I at least hope that that's what they would say.
What do you think they might say you need to do more of or less of each week?
Well, I think, well, I know my husband would say go to the gym more, because I've been passing that up to get in early. And probably at school, they would tell me to remember to eat lunch.
Important. Speaking of important, what is something that is personally important to you for your school and something that you're looking forward to this school year?
From a district standpoint?
Or just for Richer School and something that you're looking forward to getting up off the ground or continuing work with?
So I think I'm very excited about the work that Marlborough started to do with Restorative Justice. Last year, I think we were a little bit surprised at how much the pandemic impacted our students and our staff. So starting the training with restorative practices last year, partway through the year, was great. So I'm very excited about starting the year with the implementation of the things that some of our staff have already learned, having a coach come in to help us continue to build that even more. I'm excited about how that's going to impact not only the classroom culture, but the school culture, and then ultimately impact their learning. So.
And I have the last question here, and it's simply asking you if there's anything you want to share with the Marlborough community that we maybe didn't cover during our interview.
I think the only thing that I really want to share is I really do love Marlborough. I love being part of Marlborough Public Schools. I'm so grateful for everybody that has given me the opportunity to be in education in Marlborough. And I really do love living in the community. I don't live that far from the Boys and Girls Club, so a lot of the Richer students are in the neighborhood. So if you see me out in the neighborhood, just say hello.
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. That was perfect, because one of the things that I said earlier was that we are an experienced team that all are dedicated and love Marlborough and the students of Marlborough, and we want them to all succeed, and that we'll all work together for that.
Yeah.
It's so nice to hear it from a different voice,
Yeah.
so that people know that it isn't just the superintendent and assistant superintendent, it's all of us that
Right.
feel that way. So thank you
You're
for
welcome.
saying that. I want to thank everyone for watching this first section, segment of the Superintendent's Corner. We swear we'll get better at this, right? Please bear with us. Yeah, we can't get any worse. So thank you for spending time with us, and goodbye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.